Mine's working.
I know.
It is?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wi-Fi is?
That was working.
Oh, wait, something just popped up on mine now.
Guest Wi-Fi is working.
Yes, yeah, it's guest.
I was trying to get on it, it kept saying no, connect, no network, no network, but now I can.
Right, but guest should work. It's not working for you, Amy?
Well, let me see now, it might be, it wasn't at first. I was gonna say, because it worked last week for me. Oh, now it's up me, okay. Give me one
You just
second.
needed me staring over your shoulder.
That's right. Okay. All right, I'll call I can't talk, sorry. I'll call to order the special meeting of Monday, June 24th. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Read out again. We'll begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the territory of the Ottawa and Chippewa peoples who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. Thank you for your strength and resilience in protecting this land, and inspiring us to uphold our responsibilities to do the same. With that, we will get to our pretty short agenda here. Thank you everyone for joining us at lunchtime today to move through this so we could take care of some business that we had to delay because of the cyber attacks that we've been experiencing. So with that, I will turn it over for any announcements to the city manager.
No announcements.
Okay, and the city clerk?
I'm skipping them.
All right, that is his want. All right, then I will also hand it back to, well, I can hand it to Liz, but I think Benjamin's been working on this as well for the liability and property insurance coverage that we need to cover here today.
Yeah, I'll let Benjamin take it away.
All right, thank you for making yourselves available today. We had to retrace our steps in a clunky way because we didn't have access to the network. So this is something that has to be completed by the end of the fiscal year, which we're quickly approaching. And there's not really any major items of note. This is the typical liability and property coverage that the city secures every year. We're also renewing our 5-year pollution liability policy, which we saw a decrease in, which is fairly uncommon, but we're glad that we got to a decrease. And the city's had for a few years what I'd call a modest cyber liability policy. A few months ago, actually, before this incident happened, we began working on increasing those limits. And so we found a policy that fits the city's needs, in my professional opinion, rather well. And so I'm recommending that we add that special $2 million aggregate policy that hopefully we'll never need, like all insurance, but if we do, it's there. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And just to clarify to everybody, Benjamin just kind of covered agenda items 1 and 2 all at once. So, but they're related just because they're those policy plans.
Well, item
correct?
2 is really related to
Oh, yeah,
legal
sorry.
services we need that are triggered by our already existing insurance.
And what I was just going to ask, because I think this question came up when you mentioned that we were going to we couldn't quite do this agenda item yet. In relation to what just happened in the last couple of weeks, though, this is us bringing our policy and our coverage up, not that we were lacking for anything that happened in the last couple of weeks that we, as we have been reported, haven't seen
Right.
major damage to ourselves.
That's
to us
correct,
as a
because
city.
again, we began
Yes.
working on this before that incident even occurred.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead, Mai.
So first of all, I want to commend the city clerk and his office for the work that goes into finding these policies and these, our premiums. This is a couple of times now in the time I've been here, we've seen a decrease, and that is practically unheard of in the insurance industry. So I think that speaks very well to the expertise that you bring to this. But so sort of following up on what the mayor's comments were, given that this your process looking into the cyber insurance started before this recent incident, do we still feel that this level of coverage is sufficient given what we have seen and knowing that this will not be the last time that we are our target?
I do feel that way, yes. It also provides us with access to expertise and, importantly, very expensive specialized lawyers that assist us with these things, working closely, of course, with the city attorney. But yeah, I do think that this is adequate coverage for operations today. You may see us in the future come back as IT operations continue to evolve, but for now, I think it's sufficient.
Thank you. Yep. Tim had his up last round. Go ahead.
Under the pollution liability clause, does that include our water intake? Because we just had a good discussion about water intake. I had a report and an expenditure
When you say water intake, can you say?
for drinking water in East Bay. In the sub-bullets under pollution liability, it lists a lot of things, but it doesn't specifically call out, actions related to that intake if there were pollution that was causing a problem with our water intake.
Yes, broadly speaking, I'd be happy to get into it more specifically with you if you'd like, but yes, it does cover essentially all types of pollution related to operations the city's engaged in, including bodily injury if someone were to suffer injuries.
Well, I
as a
guess
result.
specifically it's not that we cause the pollution, that the pollution disrupts our drinking water. Is there coverage?
That wouldn't be us liable then under liability, right?
Well, it's not liability, but do we have insurance for that?
No, we don't.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Heather.
My question is, under property coverage, there's something odd with the number, and I don't understand. It says 171.84 million in total coverage with a 5,000 deductible. Is that correct?
It is, that was my way of saying 171,840,000, maybe it's weird
Okay,
to
yeah,
put it that way.
probably-
Sorry.
Yeah,
decimal.
But
very
that
odd.
covers all of our insurable real estate assets.
And that number is up to date as far as,
It is, in
What
fact,
we're
we
up.
just recently engaged in a new appraisal, and so those numbers are up to date. It's also blanket coverage, so even if one property was slightly underinsured, as long as we didn't exhaust that entire limit across the city in a fiscal year, we're more than fine.
thank you.
Any other questions, or would someone like to make a motion?
I move that the city commission authorize the city's insurance program for fiscal year 2024, 2025. Is that it?
I'll read the full motion, just so it's on the
I think there were
record.
two in
That the
the
city commission approves the city clerk's recommendation regarding the comprehensive liability and property coverage program and authorizes the city clerk to bind all coverage is outlined in the June 21st, 2024 communication from the city clerk. And further, that the city commission authorizes payment to the Michigan Municipal League Liability and Property Pool in the amount of $403,762 for comprehensive liability and property coverage for fiscal year 2024-2025, and payment to Northern Insurance Agency in the amount of $79,792.50 for a 5-year pollution liability policy, and payment to Northern Insurance Agency in the amount of $26,750 for a special cyber liability policy, with all premium costs to come from the related budgets and line items on a proportionate share.
That was a good job, Heather.
Sport.
And thank you. So really quick, just, I heard 750 instead of 753. I don't want that to be a sticking point later when you go to write a check.
Oh, thank you. 753, thank you.
That's what I heard Heather say.
That's what it says down here.
Yep, so, okay, we've got a motion from Shaw and second by Pro Tem Wilson. Any comments or questions about this item? Okay. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you all. And now on to the second part of this. And Benjamin, I'll just hand it back to you really quick to loop it back through.
Sure.
Or Lauren, whichever.
I can cover it real quick. Basically, as a result of the cyber liability insurance we have in place right now, our carrier recommended a special legal counsel that's helping to advise the city during this incident. We don't think that we would exceed the amount of coverage that's provided by our carrier that would pay this lawyer. I don't think we're going to come even close to that. This is really just a precautionary matter, so we've got things in place on the front end and doing a little bit of legwork in case there's something needed later. Is that fair?
And I just want to mention too that the carrier has like a short list that
Your
are
mic,
of
Lauren.
attorneys that are approved for this type of work.
Okay.
And so they recommended this one from their pre-approved list, and it's certainly fine with me because I don't have the expertise in cyber liability.
Thank you very much. You don't know everything? Go ahead,
So
Heather.
does that mean that you've never dealt with this problem before?
Not with a cyber attack like this,
Really?
no. We've never had this before.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
Is there a not to exceed amount on this, or does it come back if it gets to a certain amount?
We could put a not to exceed amount of $50,000, because that's the limit we have. Again, I don't think we're gonna come anywhere close to that, but, we can
Well, I
add
just
that
didn't
to the
know, like,
motion.
does this, what's the time frame? Like, what is this, if it's just a completely open and this is good for the next 5 years or something?
No, it's specifically in connection with this incident.
Okay,
So-
just to me, it doesn't read that way in the motion.
Okay, well, we can say in connection with a recent cyber incident and not to exceed $50,000, if that works.
Great.
Other questions? Would someone like to make the motion that we will have Benjamin read legally for us?
Certainly, I'd be happy to make that
Okay,
motion.
Commissioner
Great.
Stanley would like to make the motion.
All right, and that is that the city commission confirms the city manager's emergency execution of legal services agreement with McDonald Hopkins for cyber liability professional legal services in connection with the recent cyber incident as provided by the city's insurance carrier at rates not to exceed $295 per hour and $50,000 cumulatively as recommended by the city attorney, which is required by the city charter.
So
Great job.
moved.
Second?
Second.
Support. Thank you. Okay, motion by Stanley, second by Shaw. Any other questions about this item or comments? Seeing none, any public comment on this item? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much for allowing us to meet this afternoon, everybody, and push through all of that. With that, we do have an opportunity, since this is a special meeting, for general public comment. Would anybody like to make general public comment? Seeing our very small but mighty audience decline, we will come back to the board. Does anybody else have any final comments before we go? Since we're having a special meeting, I just want to take the opportunity that last, was it Wednesday or Thursday, June 19th, E3 put on a very nice Juneteenth program at NMC for the entire community. There were a lot of people there, ran into a lot of people from the community, from all different aspects of it. So very grateful for that organization and the college for doing that, and excited. It was nice to see that celebration going on again this year in our community. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for being here. Grab some sandwiches and some snacks.